On St. Patrick's Day this year, I had the good luck to interview Goering Center member Terry Horan, CEO and president of Horan. And we talked about his experience with our Business Board Institute. In this 10-minute video, Terry talks about his enormous business talent within his board, how he prepares for board meetings, as well as the greatest outcomes and aha moments. Let's join Terry now.
Let me tell you that Bill Barkalow, ran a division for Toro. He ran Irwin Augerbit up in Wilmington. He ran a couple of other manufacturing organizations. And I thought to myself, as we were thinking about these people, how are they going to know anything about our business? And you know what? It didn't matter at all. Tom Michel is also on our board. He sat next to Carl Lindner for 30 years at lunch every day. He was Carl Lindner's tax guy. And he brings such perspective as to how to grow a business to us, but again, in a completely different organization. And then Chad Summey is on our board, and he ran a coupon company, electronic coupon company, and now he's out doing something new and fresh. But again, all of these people really had no experience in the insurance business or the employee benefits business, but they bring such depth of understanding about how to operate and grow an existing business. So that's one half of the story. I'll save the rest for the next iteration.
All right, well, that's good. Well, there's some part of the story, kicking and screaming. You were brought to the table kicking and screaming.
That is absolutely the case. I was so afraid that we were too small, that they were going to be tough, or they weren't going to be interested. And I was wrong on all of that. It was obvious they were going to be great partners for us, and from the very beginning. And it really took one meeting, Carol, to realize this is one of the neatest things we've ever done. And I was sold right away. And we've had a change in one of our board members, and we're going to have another change this year. But again, I think the candidates, there are lots of candidates out there that will enjoy being on our board just because of the tradition we've already got going.
Yeah, wonderful. And let me just kind of take a sidebar there. So the Goering Center has a board candidate registry. That's where the folks come from. At least that's the first slice we look at. If we can find people that are already in our registry that are a good fit, that's where we start to look. And I will tell you, there are people who come through our doors every day, people with years of experience, as Terry just talked about, who want to serve because they've spent a lifetime learning, and now it's an opportunity to create value in somebody else's business.
Yep.
Terry, what was one of the greatest outcomes of the board? I mean, we talked about, why you might have a board.
Yeah, well, let me put it in dollars and cents. I think our revenue on the employee benefits side has almost, not quite, but almost doubled in the 7 years that we've done this. Furthermore, we began to look at ourselves more as not simply a local company, not simply a regional company, but really a super regional company. And now, and the third thing was, we learned to take some of the expertise that we have in our shop at this point and figure out how to provide that expertise to other organizations like ours around the country. Well, that's an interesting aspect to what we do if you think about it, because when you build a business like ours in other regions, the marketing ramp up is tremendous because there's no brand awareness. Not exactly true when you're dealing with your peers in the business. They know who we are, they know what we can do. And so, in marketing our expertise to them in certain areas where they might not have it has been an easier lift than we ever thought it was going to be. That was an idea that really came from our board.
Excellent. And what does it take to prepare for a board meeting? Who does it, and how many days does it take? Or hours?
It takes a little while. I'm in the middle of doing it right now. We're sending out the board book tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Hopefully Terry Horan can get through all his edits on his introduction. But it takes a little while, and frankly, that's the rigor that you expressed that's so important to, frankly, the success of a board. And that I ask for reports from all of our big departments. Obviously, there's a big treasurer's report, and they're interested in that. And our marketing and employee and human resources all chime in that board book, and that sort of sets us up for the agenda for that meeting that's coming up. That'll be next week. This is our first one of the year. We've already had we have a second board, which we'll tell you about sometime, but we've already had the first meeting of that board for our wealth business. But there is some rigor to this, and that's helpful. And also we take extensive minutes, and, you know, reading through the minutes of the last meeting, sometimes my heart skips a beat, and sometimes I get to the depths of depression because I realize, hey, we really did accomplish that. And other things I said, oh God, we've ignored that completely. We've got to get back to that thing because I know I'm going to get stopped on that. So I think there's great accountability, great rigor. You know, when you're CEO, sometimes the bank is your only accountable partner. And what the board does is give you an additional layer of accountability that's really important.
Have you ever been in the board prep process and had a real aha about, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this was going on?
Yeah. So I'll give you another Bill Barkalow-ism. When this took a while to beat into my head, but Bill said, you know, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. And in pouring over and in some detail, much more than I paid attention to in the past, the financial statements, because I had to present them, and now some of my department heads have to present them. I realized, oh my goodness, we don't have revenue issues, we've got profitability issues, and that was a huge aha for us. And we've begun to work very hard to fix that as time goes along, and some of that comes through efficiencies, and some of it comes from finding other things to do that probably will lead to a better return.
Yeah, great perspective. Do you ever use your board to help with people development in the organization?
Well, you know, I was going to mention that because Mike had talked about what's the difference between a board and a roundtable. I think the primary difference is you allow your people to come to the board meetings, present, and to listen to the questions that they're going to get as a result of their presentation. That's a very accountable action and a very maturing action. And so all of a sudden, your leaders in your office are getting the same input that you're getting when they present to that board. Now, they're not in on 100% of the meeting necessarily, but they're in on a good part of it. We have elections to who gets to go to those board meetings. We have 12 shareholders at our Horan benefits, and so we elect 3 to go to the board meetings, and that's an election that happens every year, and that's a great honor to be included in that. But on the other hand, all 12 have cycled through there in different presentations at some point in time, including and then also in addition HR, marketing, and finance. So I do want to mention that I have found, and I think David was helpful with this, I have found that our meetings are not report after report after report after report. What we try to do is get those done in the board book. And then what we do is focus on 1 or 2 major topics that we want to cover with that board. And our board meetings are half a day. And it's remarkable to me how those 2 subjects, if they're meaty enough, will take up half a day. But I do not like, and I don't care to be on boards where it's simply just a rote reporting of what happens and really no input is really given, or you vote on the capital budget and that's it. So what we try to be very intentional in saying, we just want to, once we get through the minor reports, and most of it you're going to get in the board book, we want to focus on 1 or 2 or 3 topics. That's it for our board members. And so therefore there's going to be a lot of interaction with our team. And one more thing, we always sponsor an annual dinner with our board and our shareholders and key employees. And we do that at one of the country clubs here in town. And it's a great time for everyone to mix and share ideas and to get further depth. We also have had a strategy sessions, and we've invited our board members to those. So there is a fair amount of interaction.